Advanced and future capabilities. Now, some of these things we've been doing with some key customers. I'm not going to get into all the gory details. But one of the things that we've produced is what's known as a batch manager. A batch manager allows us to take a set of configuration rules and run all the combinations that you could possibly answer via the different choices and drive Flex 3D in batch. In other words, hundreds of configurations could be processed. It could be running for all night long, over the weekend, you know, all those types of things. We can even have multiple Flex 3D servers running concurrently. Why would a company want to do this? Well, if you've got a lot of content to create, maybe you've got a whole bunch of drawings you need to stuff to manufacture before you build products. You might be creating catalogs, marketing information, etc. Then you might want to run all those product combinations in advance of an end user even seeing those products, because you need to fulfill the content requests of the organization. Other things that we're doing, which I can't get too deep into, but we're adding a bunch of additional Flex 3D, what we call rule types and operators, in the next version of the ByDesign configurator. So you'll have actual Flex 3D rules and additional types of rules for part number generation, for content consolidation, for caching, all these types of things. So we're taking these concepts and putting direct rules inside the configurator to keep building out what we can do. And based on some of those things, we can do some very advanced MBOM production. Allows us to use manufacturing rules and Flex 3D to create complex MBOMs and do things like kitting parts and stuff like that, and really reduce the amount of rules in, as well as the complexity in the CAD models. The other thing we're doing, I'll talk a little bit more about, is we're doing research right now into supporting additional CAD platforms other than ProE. And I can't give you dates and stuff, but I prefer to talk about that stuff offline. But the two other ones that we're looking at are really SolidWorks and Inventor. And we're already doing work with Inventor and SolidWorks and Flex 2D. So this makes sense, because with this whole new Flex 3D architecture we've created in the last 2 years, it really allows us to very rapidly bring on different types of modules and use the same rule infrastructure, the same post processors, the same content requester and engines, all that type of stuff. So I'd prefer to take those detailed questions offline, because there may be other questions. Brief shot of a screen here. Is Tony online by chance?
Tony.
Lagiza, is he online? Well, there may be a gentleman online. This is actually, you can't see much, but it is the actual batch manager driving basically hundreds and thousands of cabinet creations for a company called Masco. And this is actually using the batch manager, that thing I talked about. So if you're interested in batch content creation, all that type of stuff, get a hold of us or your sales representative, and we can go as much detail as possible. And in there, we've got content maintenance for consolidating drawings and all these other types of things. So there's a lot of advanced topics in there. I can get into it later. Benefits. Ability to quote, order, and manufacture complex or dimensionally driven products. Faster, cheaper, and with less mistakes. And essentially, by combining our configurator, the ByDesign configurator, with Flex 3D or Flex Translation, we can do a lot of as engineered, as manufactured content being driven by the requirements of the quote or the order. Time is always a value, obviously, to be able to automate a complex process, reduce time and cost. You can use the content being created to populate other parts of the enterprise. Like I said, MBOMs, part numbers, drawings, routings, etc. Time is money, so by reducing basically hours and days and weeks of manpower, really is a benefit to an organization. The other part about it is taking expensive 3D CAD operators, people who are engineers and designers and draftspeople, and taking them out of content production or order processing and putting them back into jobs that help get new products out, improve products, etc. So it allows you to take your resources and apply them to things they ought to be doing, instead of processing orders or doing clerical CAD, is the term I use. Anytime you can automate and do something consistently, you're also going to improve quality, which has a big effect on MBOM errors, EBOM errors, drawing errors, all those types of things that cost a company dearly. And it doesn't matter if that's to order or in advance of an order. Mistakes are very costly for an organization. You know, a lot of companies have a lot of them. Questions and answers. Be happy to take any set of questions online if anybody's got any, or we can take them offline, whatever works. Is anybody left?
Question?
If you don't have any questions now, give them the forum.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
It seems most of the work done is done by the CAD program itself. How is that programmed?
Well, the CAD program is just an engine. So all those CAD applications like ProE, I mean, all they know how to do is allow a user to drive them.
Yeah.
Flex
So I
3D.
know the Flex 3D rules. They just send some data to the CAD program. What happens then between sending the data and getting the model ready?
Yeah, so not only did Flex 3D do all of that, the Flex 3D engine it drives that CAD application and assembles all the pieces and parts as if a user was doing it.
Yeah, but it has to be some link in the CAD package that can take care of the information coming from 3D Flex.
Yes. Well, that's true, and I mean, somebody has to do the geometric work. It makes no sense for.
Automation in the CAD package.
What was that last thing?
Yeah, we have to make the 3D generation, but the automation in the CAD package.
No, the CAD package isn't doing the automation. Flex 3D is. Basically, the CAD operator, the person doing the models, had to know how to design a nozzle and how to design a braze pack assembly. In other words, the things that you would do in engineering anyway.
Yeah.
So all they did is design the pieces and parts.
Yeah, it seems to be a very few number of rules to do that.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the point. In that, with very few rules, we can completely drive complex assemblies that are being built on the fly. Versus manually having a CAD operator getting a worksheet or an order sheet and having to manually pick all these parts off the disk, manually set all the parameters and hope they get the parameters right, assemble the thing, create drawings. I mean, all that stuff is a very timely and expensive process to have people manually doing over and over again.
The only thing you make in the CAD package is creating the parametric parts.
Yeah, basically someone had to make the pieces and parts.
Yeah, okay, that's easy enough.
Just like, again, think of Lego.
Yeah, so there's no kind of intelligence you have to program into the CAD package like it's done.
The only intelligence is if this is true of all 3D CAD packages, if you want to make that nozzle part intelligent, in other words, if you want to be able to pass dimensions to that nozzle part to change the size,
yeah,
then when you design that part in ProE, or same thing in SolidWorks, same thing in Inventor, then you make dimensions that are parameter driven.
Yeah, I use Inventor, I know about that. It sounds simple.
It actually is. I mean, I'm not going to say that designing 3D assemblies is simple. It depends on the product. I mean, some 3D parts are simple, some 3D parts are extremely complex.
Yeah,
but companies are doing it anyway as part of their engineering design process. So we're not asking them to do anything they're not already doing.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Just as a side note, for what he was talking about, recently had a customer that wanted to put this in place. They already had their 3D models. We installed, and they have Sightline, and they wanted to put Flex 3D and hook it up to the configurator. We spent a total of about 7 days of work with them installing the software. They had a workshop here at TD Site to teach them how to write these rules, and there's not many of them, and to understand what they should do in their models to do it correctly. But we have somewhere between 7 and 10 total days of consulting time, and that's training them how to use Flex 3D, the rules and everything. And they're completely making their product, and they're not